Okay, so this is the assignment. So these are the submissions you need to do. Week 8 submission. So week 8, so this cell, data dictionary part 1, 2, 3. That means data flow description, data store description, and the process description. And then what I will do, I'll go to guide, or the what do you call this, rubric. And then I'll go through these. Now these are the 3 we need to focus. Okay, data flow description, data element description, and the process description. Okay, so level 0 diagram, I need to focus on level 0 diagram for the data flow descriptions, right? And then for the data element description, again I need to focus on level 0 diagram for my subsystem. Okay, so make sure that you select all the entities, and you need to provide all the description for all the entities. Okay, and then the third part is your process description. So for the process description, you need to take lower level processes, right? Not the level 1, so not the level 0, lower level, because you need to break it down. Level 0 probably a bit higher, I would say it's bit it's not that in detail. Okay, so you need to break it down another level probably, and then it will be easier for you to describe the logic in that process. That's what it means, right? So you need to select 2 processes, right? So if you can break down one level 0 process into 2 processes, that's fine, and then you can describe these 2 processes, right? So so that's what we need to do. Okay, so for this stuff, for this dictionary item, I need to have a revised version of my data flow diagram, because I can't proceed with my with errors. Okay, so remember the quality checks, right? Quality checks has to be done, and then you need to take my feedback, blah blah blah, and then you revise it, and then you make sure that now it's ready to go. Okay, so then what I will do is, now I have done that revision to my existing fragments. Okay? Now this is a starting point. Okay, so these fragments are based on the event table or revised event table. Okay, so the first fragment is manage car service inquiries. Okay, so I have the external agent, I have these entities, right? I have listed all the information flow, and then now this is a little bit different to what we have done the event table before. No, Matthew, you don't need to submit these things, right? No, I'm just telling you the process that we need to follow, right? The submission, I will tell you what to submit. Okay, give me a few minutes, I will explain and I will let you know. Okay, now this is the process steps, because we need to know the connection, how the now this is the revised fragment. Okay, so this is what first thing I will do. So the first fragment, second fragment, and then the fixing car fragment, update custom information, blah blah blah, then generating reports, and then generate the order. Now these are basically the use cases in my system or your subsystem in your case. Okay, so this is the first thing I will do. I will refine it, I will make sure my fragments are correct. Okay, so once the fragments are correct, then I can actually correct my level 0 diagram, right? So what I will do is I'll collect all fragments, and then I create my level 0 diagram. Now this is my revised level 0 diagram. This is what I need to focus on, my data dictionary. Okay, data dictionary. Okay, so it's a collection of fragments, 6 fragments basically. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, here 5, and here 6. Okay, so the now in this case, now I have listed all the external agents, right? So I have customers, I have suppliers, I have management, and also I use the calendar as an external agent as well, right? Because I'm not going to develop the calendar functionality in my system. It has to be, I'm assuming something has been there already, so they are supplying that information to us. So that's why the calendar as an external agent. Okay, and then I listed all these entities. Now these are the entities. Now these entities coming from where? These entities actually coming from my entity relationship diagram, right? So I may have created that before, well before. Okay, as parallel to my fragments. When you develop the fragments, then you can have, actually before develop the fragments, you can develop the entity relationship diagram. Okay, so when you develop these fragments, then you can actually update either fragments and either ERD diagram, right? Using the CRUD technique. Remember the CRUD technique I have given you, right? I taught you. So using CRUD technique, then you can develop this level 0 diagram. Right now we have fine-tuned level 0 diagram. So logic is no black holes. We try to avoid black holes. There is no miracles. So avoid the miracle. Remember the quality check criteria. And then this is my revised version. And then what I can do is I can revise my so you don't need to actually it's much better you submit your level 0 revised version with this submission. Okay, the data flow description or data dictionary submission. Okay, then I know exactly this is what you are focusing on. Okay, so revised version. And then in practice, what I will do is once I revise it, then I can of course revise my context diagram as well. Right now, this is my context diagram. You don't need to submit this one, but in practice, this is how we do, right? So then I revise my content. Now this is the context diagram for the Acme Garage, right? So I am developing. This is my system, bird's eye view, car service management system. Now in this case, I haven't actually listed the calendar, but I should list it. Forgot it. But these are the main external agents. These are the main information or data flows, inflows and outflows from the external agent. So when I see this system, okay, now I can get any person, anyone who doesn't have any need not to have any technical knowledge, so they know exactly what is the system we're trying to actually develop. Okay, so I have this one. I have now revised level 0 diagram. So now I can actually develop my data flow definition, so data flow descriptions. So what I will do for the data flow description, the first thing that I do is I'll copy. Now this is a rough work, right? Now open an Excel sheet, do this rough work in Excel sheet. That's easy. So I'll copy the template, the symbols that I have given you. Remember? So I'll go to the lecture slides, copy this one. So I have in front of this, and also in the lecture slide I gave you an example of how to use these symbols. So I keep a copy in front of me, so I can actually refer to these things when I developing it. That's what I do. Okay. So that's because otherwise I need to go back and come back. It's a bit of a cumbersome game. So better I have it in the same screen. So I have this. Then what I can do is I can go to my level 0 diagram. Okay, I select the processes. So I select the first one, and then I try to find out what are the data flows coming into and out from that process, right? So you can see there are, in this case, there are three inflows and outflows. Okay, and the second one, there are three inflows and outflows, right? So coming out for the first one, car service inquiry coming in, right, from the customer. And then they remember that in the case study they says that they are checking whether there are any outstanding payment, etc., right? And then they tell this is outstanding payment, and then they may verbally tell it, right? So we don't need to actually practically tell this is the outstanding payment. Maybe if you want, you can show it, but I haven't. And then the customer will pay the outstanding payment or remaining payment in this case, and then the payment status confirmation will send to the customer stating that we have updated or whatever thing, right? So this is the first thing we need to actually do, right? Data flow description. So you need to provide all the data flow description for the level 0 diagram according to the assignment criteria, right? So all logical data flow represented in the diagram 0. So that means in your diagram or in your subsystem, you need to provide all these data flow descriptions. Okay. So So then what I will do is I'll remember the template I use. So tables, right? So this is first one, data flow name, item, and the description. So 3-column table. So these are the 3 flows, right? So now here in this case, I just trying to get some idea, right? So car service inquiry comes to the system. So what do you mean by the car service inquiry means? It includes the car registration number. We need to know that, and then the customer name, and then the service issue. What kind of issue that that vehicle is facing, right? What is the what kind of issue, right? So we need to capture these 3 things. These are the very important 3 things we need to capture, and then I just describe this is car service customer service inquiry from the customer. Okay. And then the customer is paying the remaining payment, right? So when we tell verbally this outstanding amount, if it is automated system, then the outstanding amount has to be displayed to the customer. Say then I may have another outflow from the. That's what I think we have done in our original event table, right? So outstanding amount goes out. But in this case, I haven't actually included that. So I'm assuming that we verbally tell then the customers are paying the remaining amount, remaining balance to us, right? So we need to process that. We need to capture that. So what do you mean by the remaining payment? So remaining payment is equal to amount plus probably the credit card details. So we need to record that. So the amount is the credit card details, right? And then what I have done here, I have another information, bit complex information here, CC details. What do you mean by the CC detail? Then I have another in another row, I'll describe that as well. So CC details, so credit card details equal to credit card number, expiry date, and the card holder name, CVV, right? So these are the details, okay? And then what happened, once we receive that one, then we can process the information and update everything. And then we are sending back the customer the payment status confirmation. So what do you mean by the payment status confirmation? Mean is amount paid plus the date paid. Okay, so if you have any outstanding amount still, you can actually put another plus sign, say amount paid, and then outstanding amount is optional, right? So you can say actually amount paid plus date paid plus you can say, okay, if you have any outstanding amounts, outstanding amount, now that's optional, right? It can be there, it may not be there, right? So it's outstanding. So this is the outstanding payment confirmation. Okay, outstanding payment confirmation. That's what we mean by that, right? So we have described these 3 data flows. Okay. So Matthew, sorry, do we need to see the other? That's an earlier comment. Sorry. And then we are coming to the second one. The second one is organized car services, right? So the organized car services, it looks like when you see this, it looks like we are sending the quote first, right? We are sending the quote. This is how much we know. Now for the quote, there is not much information, right? So what I will do for the quote, what do you mean by the quote? What kind of information I typically have in a vehicle quotation report? So what I did, I quickly Google it. I find a kind of a very nicely fitting quote estimate or repair estimate kind of a template. So I base my information based on this, right? Now, if you can do the same thing, if you find something in the Google, copy and paste it, and maybe when you do the submission, make sure that you put it as an it, please put the source as well, okay? Because otherwise the plagiarism. Please the source, maybe internet source. Put the website address. It should be okay. And then I know that exactly you based in some of these content based on this element, right? So I just quickly use, it has a lot of information. So what I have done, I capture this information in my service code data outflow here, right? This is a service code. So service code is equal to, so what are the data element? What are the elements we have here? So we have the customer number. So I try to actually to minimize. There are a lot of things here: make, model, VIN number, etc., mileage. So if you want, you can list everything here with the equal sign, and then you can see for the repair estimate, there are so much of some sort of some products need to be used, right? And the labor hours and the parts, etc., etc. So you can see it's a kind of a repetitive elements, right? So I use the curly brackets. Now curly brackets is the multiple occurrence. You can see there are multiple occurrences there, right? So I use the multiple occurrences for the quantity field, details of the recommended repairs, labor, plus the parts, okay? And then I need to calculate the subtotal. Subtotal is there. Then I have the subtotal. So close the curly brackets, subtotal, and then I need to add the GST amount, right? And then I need to calculate the grand total amount, okay? So that is the grand total amount. So then the description, I just write, this is the customer service quotation, okay? Right, so that's the information outflow that I capture. Now for that, I use some information from the internet, okay? And then there are two, right? Then what happened is once we send the code, probably a customer may accept the code. If you want, there is another flow comes in, code acceptance, but I haven't captured it. It's just an acceptance, right? You can capture it if you want, if your system is going to have a kind of a facility for that. So otherwise we can go ahead with the other two things, booking conditions. So they are telling what is the booking of, once they accept, we need to inform that what's the booking condition of the accepted offer looks like. And then the confirmation coming, or booking confirmation coming from the customer, so they may accept it or they may reject it, right? These booking conditions. So that's what we need to capture. So booking condition is it may include a service date, service time, and also the payment condition, right? Now remember, when you read this scenario, you may have noticed they have telling to the customer booking, there is a booking condition or the payment condition, right? So then what I will do is booking condition contains the payment, since payment condition, so I just describe what do you mean by the payment condition means, right? So I just have another row, payment condition means or equal to, now this is the condition they have listed in the case study. Customers need to pay when they pick up the vehicle or within the 30 days. Okay, that's the payment condition. Okay, and then booking confirmation received by the customers, right? So we will receive their confirmation. So what I do here, now remember, this is a discrete kind of now payment condition is a discrete text that may include. So how to use a discrete text inside the quotation mark, right? Okay, so inside the double quotes. So I use the double quotes here. Okay, double quotes, and then the booking confirmation. Okay, booking confirmation means the acceptance or the rejectance by the customer, right? So here I use, now I have an example here. this is how we put that inside the now this is curly brackets. If you have alternatives, we can use the brackets separated by hash sign. Okay, so since we have two alternatives in this case, either accept or either reject, so I use that hash sign together with the brackets. Okay, so and then I put a comment here. All right, now how to show the comment? Comments can be shown using double asterisks, right? Additional information. So these comments are important for the programmers and the developers of the other end. Okay, so I just put it under the comment. This is a booking acceptance from the customer, or actually booking acceptance or rejection. I would say rejection from the customer, by the customer. Okay, and then I just give a small description. Okay, so likewise, I can now go ahead each and every data flow item. Now remember, the data flow item means the data flows between the external agent and the process, right? Not the data flow between these two, right? Entities and the data flow. I mean DFD. So this is what we need to focus on. So likewise, I just went to the third one. So third one is fix the car, right? The fix the car. Now here actually this is actually coming from, now fix the vehicle details already there in the first process. Remember, I think the fix car process is basically the state regarded as a state event, right? So it has to come from actually here, the fixed car detail, because once the booking condition accepted, then we need to execute this process. Right now, actually, this flow has to be come from here to here, right? So it's a mistake. Damage car details comes from here to here. So I need to explain, I need to actually describe that as well. What do you mean by the damage car details means? So this is my fixed car process. Damage car details means the registration number, VIN number, and the service issue, right? Service issue. So these are the details flows from this process to this process, right? So this process probably may access that's the trigger coming from this process, yeah. And then we'll do the fixing stuff, accumulating all the cost in the necessary files, and then we need to inform the customer, yep, your vehicle has been fixed. So that's what we mean by this information flow, right? So we need to inform, so sort of data has to be flown out of the system to the customer, okay? Fixed vehicle details means customer name, registration number, pickup note, right? So I just put the pickup note here. So what do you mean by the pickup note? Pickup note means vehicle has, now I use again the discrete value notation. So vehicle has been fixed, please pick up your vehicle. That's what we mean by that. That's the note that accompanied with this data flow, right? So likewise, now you can see when you go through these descriptions, right, with these examples and with this diagram, it has a very kind of logically related to each and every other, right? So anyone who refer to this dictionary can get a kind of an idea, okay, what's going on, what's inside there, right? What elements are inside this process, or what elements inside in each of these data flow items, okay? So that's what you need to do for each and every data flows in and between each external agent and the data flow fragment, right, or process, in other words, right? So that's number one submission you need to do. And then the next one is next part is the process description, right? So for the process description, what I need to do is, now, as I mentioned before, I need to break down, I need to select one of these processes and break it down into the lower level process, right? So what I have done here, I took the process number 4. Now here the process number 4 is the one where we handle all the payment, right? All the payments. Now payment means there are two types of payment. Payments received by customers, right? Payment means the payment of the regular service, not the outstanding payment, right? Because outstanding payments I think handled by somewhere else, right? Somewhere here, right? But here we are accepting the regular payment details or payment invoice from the customer, and also we are paying for our suppliers for the parts, right? That payment also I included inside this process to handle right now in my revised version. So basically, if you see this use case, actually this use case represents probably a couple of or many events, right? It's a combination of of 2 or 3 events in my event table, okay? Because I just wanted to show it in a more high level. And then what I can do I can actually break it down into again to the lower level, right? Lower level, and then select 2 processes to describe it in detail. So what I will do is now I'll take the organized payment process, right, or the fragment I would say, and then break it down into 2 lower level processes. So in this case, make sure that you numbered it. So my numbering system here incorrect. It has to be 4.1 and 4.2, right? So this divides. So first one lower level process handles the customer related payment. Another lower level process handles the supplier related payment, okay? And the logic has to be same, right? So this logic has to be same. So I listed all the entities where necessary, okay? Then what we need to do, I'll go to my lecture slide and I'll copy the process description example into this Excel sheet. So now I have a kind of a template in front of me. So I can use actually this as a guidance, how to write the process description, right? For the lower level, okay? So here, I take the first process or 4.1. In this case, I just numbered it as 7. So process 7, process customer payment. Okay. So what do you mean? So when I actually once I done this, and I can get a kind of idea what's going on. So when the invoice is sent to the customer, so you can see. Actually this one has to go there, the other way around, okay? Invoice has to be go there, and then the customer pay for it, right? So payment details comes in, and then we need to produce the receipt, right? And then also there are overdue times, right? Now for example, the customers, remember the customers can pay within 30 days, right? So we need to clearly separately show, right? This is how we process if they pay within 30 days. This is what happen if they not pay in 30 days, right? So you can see that trigger is coming from the calendar to this lower level process I have seen, because the higher level process is also there. The trigger is shown there. So I just trying to now elaborate this logic in my process description here, right? So it need not to be very complicated. I don't want you guys to have a complicated description, but it has to make sure that you keep very simple, so then it will be easier to understand, okay? So I just write, okay, send the invoice to the customer, okay? If customer pays within the 30 days, right? Within the 30 days, record the payment details and issue the receipt. Else, that means if not paid within the 30 days, we need to send overdue notification. That's what it says here, right? Overdue notification, and record the payment detail, because once you send the overdue notification, we can then customer can pay immediately, right? So still we need to record that payment details as well, right? So these payment details actually captures 2 things, right? payment before the 30 days and payment after the 30 days, right? That's what we mean. So I don't need to have two outflows to show that, right? We can actually show the logic in the same output. But when you describe the process, that logic we can show in very detail in this case, okay? So the developer can actually see the logic in this diagram and in the process description. And then send the overdue notification, then record the payment details, and then issue the receipt, right? Issue the receipt. So that's the logic of the process, lower level process 7. And the similar approach can be applied to the lower level process 8. So process 8 is organized supply payment, right? So you can see here purchasing payment or order invoice. So that means once the supplier sends the order, we are getting the, once we paid for the order, we are getting the invoice, right? And the physical goods will become later on, isn't it? And then we need to pay for the supplier, okay? But if you read the case study, you may have noticed it says that 10 days payment overdue. Now, when the supplier, when we pay for the supplier invoices, if the goods have been not received within the 10 days, we need to inform the supplier, right? So we haven't received your goods yet, but we have paid for the, we have paid partially for the invoice or something like that, okay? So that's the 10 days part payment notification comes in, but we are not actually telling that for the, because the case study is not clearly tells us that we are sending that overdue, but it may be a verbal thing, right? We don't need to implement that because we assume that there is no connection between our system and the supply system. We verbally ring them and tell them we haven't received it, right? So therefore we are not going to show that in this case. But we put that in the logic. So what I have done here, I now capture this logic here. First record the supply invoice details, right? Supply invoice come in, then we need to record it, and then I put that logic there. If parts received within the 10 days of the order, right? If the parts received within the 10 days of the order, then we need to pay for the supply invoice, right? That's what we mean by here, purchasing payment, and then update the supply invoice. So we need to update the necessary file. So now in this case, supply invoice file need to be updated, right? Else, inform the supplier, right? Now inform the supplier, there's no data flow, we don't want to implement any interface. It can be a kind of a verbal notification, that's fine, right? Because it's not there. And then we need to update purchase order with the order not received, right? So that means we need, now here the purchase order entity, we haven't shown it, but actually it has to be there. We need to show, right? We need to make a note on our purchase order, this order has not been received and such day, etc., etc. Now you can see when you see this diagram, and if you read the process description, it's clear what's the logic is, what's going on, what's coming in, what need to be updated, etc., etc., right? So that's what you need to do in your subsystem as well. And then finally, what we can do now, we have done the data flow descriptions, right? And we have done the process descriptions, right? And the third part is data store description, right? So we can take, now according to the assignment specification, data elements or data stores, you need to take all the data entities in the level 0 diagram, and you need to describe it, right? So what I do is I'll go to my level 0 diagram again. So I'll see what are the data entities I'm using my subsystem. In this case, you can see there are 6 entities I'm going to use in my subsystem. 6 entities. So these 6 entities can have different attributes, right? Different attributes, different types of data in each attribute, right? Each column, and then different sizes, right? Vacha maybe 10, 20, or it's a numeric with the decimal point, etc., etc. So I need to describe these things. So here, actually, I haven't done that. What I will do is I'll go to the sample assignment. I'll take the screenshot of some example, and then what I can do is I can actually describe it, right? I think this one you can do it very easily because you have already have that preliminary understanding. We have done a lot of database examples in our database subject, right? So you can say you can take each entity, right, and tell a small description, maybe one sentence description, what is that entity means, right? And then list all the attributes or the columns in that entity, and describe each column, what kind of data you have, trying to, what is the type of data in that column, and what is the size, right? And probably you can mention, here they haven't mentioned it, but you can mention whether it is a primary key or is it a foreign key, etc., etc., right? So you can do that for the Acme Garage as well. So I haven't done that, but I just use this example to show. So once you have done all of these, right, in your Excel rough sheet, so what you can do is you can open what do you call, you can open a Word document. You can actually copy the level 0 diagram first, right? Now maybe put a heading first saying this is my subsystem, okay? And then you copy your level 0 diagram, right? And then go to data flow descriptions. So copy each of these tables, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, blah, blah, blah. Copy each of these tables, right? And then maybe put a subheading saying data flow descriptions, right? And then you copy these tables, okay? And then if you have some, if you use some internet resource, maybe you can copy this as a appendix to your that document, right? So put a heading appendix, put appendix 1, a sample, what do you call in this, sample repair estimate or sample quote. So then put the source, internet web address, www, blah, 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 right? And then copy and paste this document there. So I know that exactly. Maybe it's good for you to put a small note in front of in front of the table. For example, in this case, service code here. So maybe you can say refer appendix 1, right? Refer appendix 1 or something like that. So put that thing, so so I can refer to your appropriate appendix when appropriately, okay? So it's easier for me to get, have a look. So then that's the second step, okay? And then go to the process description, right? And then go to your Word document and put another subheading, process description, okay? Process description. And then you take your lower level DFV diagram. You can take the screenshot like what I have done here, right? And then copy it in there. And then after that, you copy this process description that you have done in Excel sheet, right? You just directly copy. Maybe you can take a screenshot in your description and paste it there. That's all you need, okay? And then finally, go to the go to data store description and then put a heading in your Word file, and then copy all the data element descriptions there, okay? Right, so that's what you need to submit in your submission, in next submission, another 2 weeks time.